analyst Brian Sobel. Brian, always a pleasure to have you here with us, sir. Okay, so this is expected to be a big audience, typically one of the biggest during a president's term. What are some of the biggest challenges he's going to face tonight in addressing the American people?
I think he has to convince the American people tonight that the agenda that he's laid out and the agenda that he's going to talk to tonight will resonate, is a resonating speech. And if that's the case, then he thinks he can bridge what has been occurring through polling and other things, and that is that he's lost the faith of a lot of Americans.
Obviously, you know, the economy is going to be a key issue for the president here at home. He's struggled in terms of the polling on the economy and this issue of affordability. In recent days, the president has sort of claimed victory on affordability. I wonder what kind of tone you believe he has to strike tonight. Is there a risk in the president not acknowledging what Americans are feeling in terms of high prices?
Well, these types of speeches, Alex, are not necessarily factual. They are what the president thinks is going on, what his people think is going on, and it's aspirational. So the problem with the State of the Union, and this is traditional going all the way back, is that this is a way for the president to put forth his agenda. He cites his accomplishments, and the next day everybody argues about the details.
It's also an opportunity to kind of have a little bit of a reset because, by all accounts, it has been a rather tough stretch for this administration.
It has been, and if you think about the domestic side of things and then the international side of things, one almost can't keep up with the news every day. I mean, you've got the Ukraine-Russian war, you've got the situation in Iran, you've got Gaza, the Middle East. I mean, those three things alone are enormous. And then you go domestically, and you have the issue of immigration and crime and housing and gas prices and prescription prices, and it just goes on and on. One wonders how one human, whether it's Donald Trump or anybody else, can put their arms around all that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, too, how much we should pay attention to the amount of time that the president focuses on foreign policy issues and these various conflicts that, as you just pointed out, we now have been involved in here. This is obviously a president who campaigned on an America First platform. I wonder if we look at how much time he spends focused on foreign policy versus domestic issues, and whether that is sort of an effort to kind of reset the conversation and put the attention back here at home.
Well, he's going to lead with the things he thinks he's done well. We're going to hear tonight again that he has solved 8 wars around the world, and he's working on the Ukraine-Russian situation. Yeah. And so each.
But how is he going to make the argument that those conflicts overseas are important and necessary for the well-being of American?
Well, it's a really good question. His point will be, if I could solve a problem between India and Pakistan, that does impact the American people, because cutting off goods from India, as an example, or having to deal with a conflict in India and Pakistan would have a profound effect on the United States. We don't think about it. We're so lucky here in the United States to not deal with conflicts every day. But if you're anywhere else in the world, wherever we travel, you see that, and right now we're seeing it in Mexico. You know, right on our border, there is a huge problem down there. People are afraid, and they're afraid of what may happen next. I think the president's going to address Mexico tonight. I mean, so there is going to be all of these international things and all these domestic things that he's going to look at. He's going to talk about health care tonight and a few other things. As he said, I have a lot to talk about. I don't know whether it justifies 2 hours, but we're watching the betting pools, by the way, doing the over-under on how long this speech is going to be.
Yeah. He's also expected to perhaps propose some new tax cuts, and also spend some time making his case again for tariffs, which we just saw the Supreme Court strike down a majority of his emergency tariffs. So do you think that that is a wise move on the part of the president to kind of stick with this issue of tariffs and why he believes it benefits the United States?
Well, the one thing we've learned now through the president's term before and now is he does it his way, for better or worse. And so he's not going to move off the issue of tariffs because he believes that tariffs work. And so he's already found a partial workaround. Now 10%, 15%. He's found that. And it has had limited success in some places in the world. It has convinced some countries to come to the table. So he thinks it works. Of course, there's a lot of money in tariffs that has been built up that now has to be decided about what happens to it. Maybe a couple $100 billion, which is no small change. But he's indefatigable as a president, and that's not weighing in on whether it's good or bad. He just doesn't seem to sleep, and he's got a million things he works on, and I think we're going to hear about all of them at 6 o'clock Pacific.
It sounds like it. Let's talk here about the issue and the questions around decorum within the chamber tonight. I mean, it's always something that's focused on when we have State of the Union addresses. We talked, moments ago, Greg talked about the fact that you have dozens of Democrats who are just going to be skipping the speech altogether, but you may have others who are inside the chamber making statements of some sort. We've seen that over the years. What are you looking for in terms of any sort of forms of protests or outbursts in the chamber tonight?
Well, the Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, has asked asked Democrats to just sit on your hands, show disdain for what's being talked about, or don't come. That has never compelled people on either side of the aisle to be entirely quiet. If we remember Marjorie Taylor Greene during Joe Biden's State of the Union yelling, liar, 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 and Al Green, not the musician, but the Democrat from Texas, waving a cane and doing the same thing. It's unbecoming, actually, and it kind of reminds me of the English Parliament. You've got 600 people all yelling, order, 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 and it's totally out of control. And so I'm hoping tonight that we see a little less of that kind of behavior.
What's the political risk for Democrats if you do have one of these sort of moments that sort of takes hold for the public?
I think Dems ought to just be quiet and just let Trump essentially give his speech. They're going to have a response after, as we know, and not cause something that riles up the electorate, because we're coming really close to the midterms. And let your candidates go out there and campaign and talk about change, but don't end up in the State of the Union looking like you're out of control.
Do you think Democrats should attend the State of the Union?
I think if somebody does not want to hear what Donald Trump has to say or disagrees vehemently with him, I don't know why you'd be in the room. I mean, do we go to things that we don't want to go to? I mean, you have a choice. And that room, when you're in it, by the way, for the State of the Union, for people who have never attended the State of the Union, is very small. It's entirely packed. You can hear a pin drop half the time. And so if somebody acts out, even in the gallery, it echoes through that place.
Yeah.
Nothing goes unnoticed.
Almost out of time here, but in the grand scheme of things, how, in terms of the president trying to change the narrative, how much does a State of the Union speech actually change public opinion?
We talk about this every year. The president will get a bump of a few points, but typically that bump slides away as everybody goes back to their lives and has the same issues on their mind as they did before the speech.
A temporary
Yep.
bump.
Yes,
Okay.
temporary bump.
We will see what happens.
Thank you, Brian.
And just how long
Great to have you
President
here.
Trump will go tonight.
Yes.
Brian,
We'll run the stopwatch.
That should be at the poll.
Yeah.